Hey guys, Space Marine 658 here, and I'm here to bring you the next episode in our Aurora Let's Play, or shall I say the first, seems like in Season 2. So after doing some digging and some thinking, I decided that I think it was best. It was running a little too slow on the last series. It doesn't have to run super fast, but it was kind of running a little slow, and we kind of had a shit start, had very little minerals and resources on Earth and in the area around it. So yeah, so we're gonna start a season 2, and with that, part of the reason why I did that is I also think that we need to do a bit of redesign of the way the system works, because I think not enough people were getting the ability to vote, and there was a lot of really cool things that I wanted to do that we just didn't get a chance to get to. So because of that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start season 2, and I'm gonna release a video hopefully on next Monday, because I'm thinking I'm gonna go to, at least for now, a 1 week release schedule, if not 2 or 3 times a week, because the goal is to eventually get to 3 times a week consistently, but I want to be able to do that while also still having time for myself and my wife after just moving. So trying to balance those two things is pretty difficult, especially right now with a new job and everything. Kind of just trying to figure out where my time is and what I can find time for. So what we're going to do is there's going to be basically a voting channel that is just for voting, and there's going to be some redesign of the Discord here pretty soon, hopefully. The goal is to get some things kind of cleared up and moved around, some laws removed, just to clear out the space for the new series. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through and kind of remove a lot of things, but no worries, things will make their way back in. So what's going to happen is, essentially, I'm going to release a video that's going to be kind of covering the lore of this series. We're going to be starting in the year 2260, a little bit different from the previous that kind of started in our modern times. It kind of pigeonholed us into a certain kind of series, and I want to leave this a little bit more open from the more sci-fi side of things. So there's going to be some pretty cool things coming out for that. But what I want to do is actually allow everyone to vote on laws and things like that, but basically people can volunteer to be representatives. Now, until we get to the point where we have a lot of people wanting to be representatives, I think it's going to be just sort of anyone who wants to be can be. Now, we do ask, if you're going to be representative, to at least be a little bit involved in the roleplay, to message in character at least a few times a week. It doesn't have to be, every single day or anything like that, but just a couple times to kind of let us know, what your character's doing, what's going on in their story. And it doesn't have to necessarily be at the same time as the sort of chronological events of the YouTube series, though I would ask that if it's a different time in the series, sort of like maybe some history or some future stuff, that you be a little careful with the future stuff and don't go into anything that might branch too far from the narrative, that when we get to that point it kind of throws everything out. So like, it's the story of a spy on a planet that is like one we're already on, totally fine, just don't go too heavy into it. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is then everyone can vote, the representatives can volunteer. If we get to the point where we have too many representatives, we'll start narrowing it down by who contributes the most, / possibly voting systems to vote those people into power and make it more of a senatorial versus right now to be a representative. But the goal is to have a direct democracy. Essentially, people, something will get posted to the chat for people to vote on. They can vote with an emoji, and then from there they will be able to basically state, how they support it, which way they support it, and then we'll kind of role play that law into being. Maybe the representative who came up with the idea or whatever will write it as a law and kind of codify it in the general chat, or the not general chat, the in-character chat, and then we'll make sure to add that to the list of current laws, because that channel will be specifically for the current laws that are affecting. Now, what I plan on doing is adding dates to the laws, so that once those dates are reached, if the law has been met, certain events will happen. If the laws haven't been met, other events will happen. Part of the reason why I wanted to go with 1.13 is that they added the ability to create your own modules that don't actually do anything, they're just for roleplay. And I really actually think that that's going to be a great tool for us as part of our roleplay. because that's something I really want to lean more into in the series, because we kind of got to start off on it on the last series, but with everything taking so long with the meeting the aliens and everything, we didn't quite get into any of the cool nitty gritty things, you know, the character interactions that I really wanted to do. So what I've decided to do is, part of that restart is we're going to start doing that. So one of the first modules I'm actually planning on creating that all ships are going to be required by law to have is a Ansible. Now, all ships are going to want this anyways. This allows us to speak faster than the speed of light. This is a pair of bonded atoms that basically allow our ships to send messages to each other. Every ship we create has a pair attached to their system that allows them to communicate back to Earth, and then Earth is sort of the hub. That way ships don't have to have these massive systems, each all talking to every single other ship, and then you got to add a new one every time there's a ship built. Instead, every ship can talk to Earth, and Earth can talk back to those ships, and that way Earth acts like a hub. You can speak to Earth if you'd like to, but if you want to speak to another ship, say the ship right next to you, you can use default radio communications, which all ships will probably have anyways. Or you can actually go ahead and speak to Earth, and then they'll talk to the ship just auto default. Kind of like how the internet works, where, you know, if I'm on the Wi-Fi or Etherneted into the router and I speak to somebody, my information gets sent somewhere else. Actually, it doesn't get sent directly to that person. It gets sent to a server somewhere that then figures out how to send it to that person. Kind of like that is how the Ansibles are going to work. And then originally they're going to start off being pretty large, and every ship's going to be required to have them. But then as time goes on, they're going to get smaller. Now, the only exceptions to the ships being required to have them are FACs and fighters. Now, they don't have to have them because they're so small. They're 1,000 ton, or I think fighters technically are even like under 100 ton, but FACs themselves are 1,000 tons and under. Because they're so small, to me, they don't need to have them. They're going to not be anywhere far enough away that they got to be worrying about that. They're going to be near other ships. They're not going to have the fuel to be far enough away from anything else. So what we're going to do is every other ship, though, has to have them. Now, they're going to start off pretty large, especially early on in the series. But as the series goes on, when we reach a certain technological milestone, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make them smaller. That way, we can actually see the progression as time goes on. And we're also going to come up with other roleplay modules, which definitely, if you think of any, definitely either leave them in the comments down below, or you can actually go to the Discord and make a suggestion. I'm actually going to create a suggestion channel specifically for modules. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, we're just going to have them just kind of like, as I come up with the idea or as somebody else suggests it, I'm going to kind of put them on a list, and when I think they're appropriate, add them to the ships for roleplay purposes. And then that way people can actually like feel kind of a part of these things. So what I'm going to do is, you can kind of see the settings I have here. These are pretty standard. I've only made a few tweaks in there, and I'm going to kind of cover those tweaks real quick here, just to kind of give them out. One thing I did want to change actually was here. Yeah, so I want to lower. It felt like we pushed really quickly through the research tree. We didn't have time to actually use things for a while before having to upgrade them. Now, I don't want it to be super duper long, but I'm thinking I want to drop it a little bit to around 90% research speed, just because that to me makes a bit more sense. I want to have to use, you know, shitty engines for a little while until I can get better ones. So I'm changing that right there. The other things I have changed are the maximum number of systems. I dropped it to about half, because previous series I actually put it down to 250. And even though we didn't finish that series, I felt like that was probably going to be too few, just because how many I had seen at the time. Now, I want this series to go on for a long time, and that's partly why I'm raising it. But also, as NPR start exploring, they'll start finding things. So at least for now, we're going to leave it like this. And then I've also dropped the NPR generation chance by us and by the NPR, just because I want them to now be able to find it. And find other races, but I don't want them to find every single race on the face of the earth and basically bog down the entire program. But yeah, so that'll help a little bit with performance, because especially late game, the game can run a little slower. And then all of these should be the same, except I unchecked Starstorm's Rakas. I'm not big fans of them. They feel kind of just, oh shit, here's this really bad baddie. You've got to fight them or you're going to get wiped out. It kind of kills entire series. Precursors are great. Precursors are a challenge. They're something that you have to go to and overcome. They are an obstacle. These are game enders. These can just basically ruin an entire series. And while they might be a series that I would do, maybe a more hardcore series, I don't want that to be the only thing we do. I don't want to suddenly have to come across, you know, a billion star swarms and just there goes the series. We're kind of screwed at that point. We're kind of locked out of anything beyond that. I have checkmarked commander political bonuses because we're going for a bit more realistic. Last one was a bit more meritocratic. So of course, you know, you can get away with no officers can be ever promoted for political reasons. Well, we're going for a bit more realistic one this time. Maybe a bit more direct democracy, more empire, you know, federation kind of play versus the previous one was very much focused on, you know, hey, we're the good guys. So this one we're gonna allow ourselves a little bit more gray area with some of that. And then I think the rest of these are all default. I did increase this. We got screwed in Soul last time, so I'm upping Earth's minerals a little bit. Maybe that's a little too much. Maybe 125 might be a bit better. But we got kind of screwed in Soul System. That's what slowed us down the most. We had so few resources that we just got really slowed down. So that's definitely going to improve this quite a bit. And also we're doing a Trans-Newtonian start. So this is not going to be a conventional start. The conventional technology to Trans-Newtonian then going. Because, I mean, you pretty much, that's the first thing you research. And especially with how fast we were researching last time, it really didn't make too big of a difference. Now, there might be a time we come back later on and just start with conventional and have research take a really long time. That way we have to build our way up a bit slower and have to use conventional tech for a bit longer. But otherwise, we're going to just start with Trans-Newtonian right now. I'm going to hit create game. And that will allow us to create our race. So what we're going to do here, of course, it slid all the way up. There we go. Is, you know, for the race title, this is just the human race. And trying not to just copy everything, you know, we've done before. Let's try to come up with something a little bit more original for the name. For the race name, we are going to be the Empire. Empire has pretty strong connotations. Let's go for the demo. See, they haven't met aliens yet, so we're gonna want to lean into that. So the what would be the best, you know? I want to be United States centric, but I'm thinking the United Countries of Earth. So I'm thinking, you know, and then short for that would just be the UCE. UCE. Homeworld's Earth. We're not conventional, we're not neutral, auto sign, nope. And we'll have to survey home. We're humans. System theme. So with this one, this is going to be our, you know, what our systems are named for. So let's go for ancient Greece. I like that. Class themes. So these are going to be sort of our ships. I think last time we went to the United States, so we're going to go something different. Let's go sci-fi authors. It's a pretty simple one, and we can always change those later. Ranks, we're going to focus on the, let's see here, is there a republic? Sort of alliance. Only because it's easier for me to remember. I'm going to the United States because then we'll get something that's like we can kind of figure out. I mean, it's just ranks, so it's like admiral, captain, all those. Main themes. So we're going to want to go with, since it's a compilation of a lot of different ones, Let's see here. What would be the best? Battlestar? I mean, Battlestar's got Greek. Yeah, but that's gonna be like more Greek. Let's go with something a little bit unique. Let's go Estonian. How about that? Ethiopian, French, Finnish. I want something where we're gonna have unique names that we're not gonna have heard all the time. Hungarian. How many names do they have in each of these? That's a big question. Let's not spend too much time on this. So let's go with Polish. There we go. And then pretty much leave these all the same. I mean, this is really just, you know, how good our space or our race is at certain things. I'm gonna up the determination a little bit. I feel like we're a pretty determined people. Drop our diplomacy because we tend to have a lot of faux pas. Expansion, we'll leave the same. Militancy, yeah, we're pretty militarized. Trade, translation, we are pretty good about figuring out how to talk to other people, although not like amazing at it, so I'm gonna say like a 5. Xenophobia, that one's pretty high. So let's see here, population 500 million, pretty standard, leave it all pretty much this default. Alright, there we go. And then what I'll do is change the flag. And since this is a united Earth, what better way than to pick something like the EU, you know, or maybe United Nations. Is there a United Nations flag? Let's see here. Something that kind of represents more than just us. There we go. Pick that one. And then we'll change image. You know, we want it to be human, but let's see what kind of human we want to go with. Let's see, what do we want to go with here? Sorry, I just want to go with something kind of a bit different. Let's see. Oh, there we go. William Adama. That's gonna look classic Adama. And then our hull, since, you know, we're humans, we're gonna go sort of like a, you know, human-looking design. That's nothing too crazy. Station. Going kind of realistic, so let's go something like that. There we go. Alright, so let's create race. So that will start our game. Let's let it reload. There we go. So I'm going to save this. Turn that on and save that. Alright. But yeah, this is going to be our start. There we go. There's Oumuamua, which has just recently left the solar system, so that's kind of fitting of all things. But yeah, so what this is kind of our, you know, episode 0, just kind of what everything's gonna be, since there are some pretty big changes that are happening. If there is anything you guys would like to know, if you'd like to leave a suggestion for ship modules, make sure to leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. There's definitely going to be a lot more of this series now that they have had this, you know, version of Aurora out for a little bit, and we've been able to verify that it doesn't seem like there's actually that many bugs, at least from what I can tell. Not enough for there to be a pretty quick patch. Now the update has only been out for, you know, a little under a month, but it's been out long enough for any kind of major bugs to have been seen and patched, and I haven't seen any patches, so I'm crossing my fingers that there's no major bugs. So if you would like your name to be thrown in the hat for participating, just feel free to either reach out on the Discord. You can just join in and say you'd like to be involved, or if you're already on the Discord, just message in general chat, say, hey, you know, I'm already included. Now I'm going to be shifting some of the roles around, and those may not immediately change because I've got to go through and kind of decide how I want to set things up. But basically there's going to be a role for volunteers. Everyone who wants to be part of the voting body, that's just basically everyone, will just have to make sure they check the voting channel. Now I'm going to ping everyone in the voting channel, so if you don't want to get pinged for voting, like you just want to kind of follow the series and get updates on whenever the video releases, you can join the Discord. I make announcements in the announcement channel. If you want to mute everything but that, feel free, go right ahead. It's just a way for us to kind of gauge support. But anyone who does want to get involved, just make sure to go to there and just let everybody know. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask people let me know. I'm going to create a role for everyone who volunteers to be a representative. Representatives will get to kind of discuss in their own channel over what laws they want to write, what they want to pass, and they can kind of discuss things. And also in role play, they'll be able to role play as representatives depending on the time frame. So for this first week, until next Monday, what we're going to do is I'm just going to allow people to role play the sort of background lore. So think of ideas, come up with ideas, kind of work things out. You can go through events with other people, and hey, I'm leaving it pretty open. Don't make anything that I can't play in here. So like if you're gonna say like somebody nuked Earth, perfectly fine. Somebody nuked a specific city, I mean specifically. But like I know in a couple other YouTubers' big series, like for example, who was it? Inner Elysium. They had like a big portion of Earth had some nukes dropped on it, and so it was pretty laid waste, as well as some other destructive weapons used on it, creating like some tears in the fabric of space-time. Awesome, that's cool. Now completely destroying the planet, that's a lot harder to kind of play, because then that removes all of our population, so I wouldn't recommend anything like that. But if you totally want to play some interactions, you know, some people killing each other, or people like spying, people being scientists, whatever you feel like you want to do, you can find it in there, and I'm sure there'll be people that will be willing to do that with you. I mean, I've been trying to like hit up people whenever they're like role playing, if they're like having their character do stuff. I try to get involved too and just make some messages in there as well, because I know a lot of people don't always have the time to read it pretty quickly. But yeah, so anyways, that's about it. That's about all I have for today. Like I said earlier, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week, and we'll kind of go over the lore and then jump straight into the video and start playing. Thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.